don't feel bad because I knew nothing about leeks until I married a Brit. When I married a Brit, that's when I started learning about leeks. And had them in England, loved them, it was great, very popular in England, very popular. And you get them huge, really, just as well as other things that we don't get really big, like parsnips, really big parsnips, really big leeks. But today's about leeks. And we're going to talk more about that as we move along the program. And I've got something else to add later on about that and some other things. But for now, let me pass it over to Weston is on some side of me. Go, Weston, you're on.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, so as he just mentioned, we'll be talking about leeks today. So you guys can raise your hand. Who's all had a leek before? I see. All right, I see a few. Excellent.
I have.
So they're actually related to onions and garlic. They taste like a very, very mild onion, in my opinion. And they're a little strange looking. Look like this, like a spring garlic, I would say, or like a really big scallion. And we have a bunch of organic leeks off of a truck. So
sorry about that. If you could repeat that, there was a technical there.
Oh no, that's all right. I was just saying how we got a lot of leeks this week at Project Share. So a lot of our clients, as they come through Farmstand, they will all get lots of leeks. We had a trucker that came in and donated several pallets worth. So it's incredible to think the food waste in the system and how much there is, and how Project Share catches that food waste. So we're that net there that catches this waste and then redistribute it to the community. So that's excellent. So without further ado, let's get started. Leeks, since they do grow them in sandy soil, I'm not sure if you can see, they do get dirty in between all these layers. So first thing you have to do is clean them. So I'm just gonna demonstrate on how I typically clean them. First, I cut off these thick green parts. I put those in the compost. After that, I actually slice them down the middle like this. And you can see all that dirt in there. So I'm gonna rinse these under water.
Can I ask you all to mute yourselves while Weston is?
I'm going to do this for all the other three. We'll be using 4 leeks total. All right. And if you have a little dirt in there, a little dirt's not going to kill you. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to start out with some bacon. So I'm sure that may have come to a surprise to some of you, as I've been cooking healthy throughout all this. But it's all in moderation, as I like to say. So as long as you're not sensitive to pork, a little bacon's always tasty in some soup. So I'm just going to use 2 slices. This is bacon that I get up at a Mennonite butcher shop up in Perry County, nitrate-free bacon. And we're just going to put in 2 slices into this Dutch oven. And of course, wash our hands after we handle raw pork. All right. So while our bacon is cooking, I'm all about multitasking. So we're gonna chop up our leeks. So what you'll do is slice them lengthways, like hot dog style, as they say to the kids. And then slice them crossways.
By the way, if anybody has any questions during this show, please use the chat function at the bottom of your screen, and I'll pass it along to Weston.
So again, we're using 4 large leeks here. And they usually come in bunches of 3 or 4, so it's convenient. So you'll notice I'm chopping off the end. You don't have to chop off much, just those little tentacles, the roots. And I will also repeat that I do use a lot of the light green parts. I only chop off the very dark green kind of roughage at the top. That bacon is smelling delicious. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna mince up some garlic. I have 5 smallish cloves here. If you have larger cloves, you can use 4 or more if you like garlic. This week at Farmstand, we actually our clients are receiving a whole jar of garlic, already peeled and everything. And then we also got a very large donation of fresh garlic as well. So our clients are well stocked with very healthy items this week. All right. And you don't have to mince this garlic up very fine, but roughly chopped. Excellent. I'm going to check on our bacon over here. I'm sure everybody can hear that snap, crackle, and pop across the microphone. All right, so now that we have our 4 leeks chopped, our 4 or 5 cloves of garlic chopped up, now we can start on our potatoes. So we're going to use 2 pounds of potatoes. You can either use all just white potatoes. These are red skinned, but white inside. Or you can use a mix of white potatoes and sweet potatoes, just because of the antioxidants, all the vitamin A in sweet potatoes. I'm going to use 1 sweet potato with some white potatoes today. And these you'll just chop into about 1/2-inch cubes. The smaller you chop them, the faster they'll cook. So and today is just such a great day for soup. And we're actually going to get a little bit of a cold snap this weekend, so make enough for the weekend.
So that's always the key too, is to make the potato cuts the same size so they cook evenly too, right?
Exactly, yep. I do that whenever I bake potatoes or for soup. Soup, it's not as big of a deal, but definitely when you bake. All right, so my bacon is finished here. I'm going to put these 2 slices onto a plate, and we'll deal with those later. Put on that fan. All right, now we're going to keep that fat in there and add in a little bit of olive oil as well. There's probably about 2 tablespoons of bacon fat and about a tablespoon of olive oil, just getting those monounsaturated. Now we're going to put in our leeks. And if you do not eat bacon, you can do this without. You would just fry it in just olive oil.
How about turkey bacon?
Turkey bacon you can use too. It's very lean, turkey bacon, so it won't have all the fat content. So you would have to add some extra fat into there, obviously, just because it's so lean. We're going to saute this for just a couple minutes. While that is cooking, we're going to chop up the rest of our potatoes. So again, you'll notice very much a multitasker when I cook, just to make everything go a little quicker.
So we got a bit of a controversial question out there, Weston.
Yeah, what is it?
Somebody said they thought you were a vegetarian.
So I'm mostly a pescatarian, but every now and then I will eat meat if it's from a source that I know where it came from. It may sound odd, but I just like to know that the animal was treated with dignity and respect while it was here on this earth. And if I do know that, I will eat meat occasionally. So I don't prescribe to any dogma, say, in terms of eating well, but eating whole foods. When you look at the need for vitamin B12, we do need B12, so I do think that we do need a little bit of meat in our diets, even if it's a small bit. But I'm just more about the welfare of the animals. So, long story short, that's my story. I'm sticking to it, Joe.
There you go.
All right.
Weston, I'm late to the show, but why are you putting a sweet potato in it? Have you already mentioned that?
Hi there. It's good to see you again.
Right.
So I'm doing that just to get in some extra vitamin A, which is the orange compounds in here, in
Right.
a sweet potato, but it's totally optional. A lot of times when I cook, I think of the antioxidants and phytochemicals in the food.
Right.
So a lot of times I cook, and it's become kind of habit now to always think about what phytochemicals and compounds am I ingesting today in this meal. So that left-sided brain of me always thinks about that as I'm eating. So that is why. But you can totally do it with just all white potatoes as well. All right, now these are nice and softened up. What we will do now is add in all our potatoes.
Weston, did you give out the garlic this week?
Pardon?
Did you give out the garlic this week?
We did. I know there was some bags that were packed before we got in garlic, and so there may have been a few families who did not receive garlic, but many of them did.
I know my friend and I didn't, so.
All right. When you come next week, you certainly will.
Okay.
All right, so we added in our potatoes. Now we're gonna add in 2 bay leaves. We're gonna add in 1 teaspoon of thyme. And then some vegetable broth or chicken stock, you know, whatever you prefer. We're going to use between 5 and 6 cups of vegetable stock. My goal is to just cover the potatoes by a little bit. So it may vary depending on, you know, how much potatoes you use. So that was probably about 5.5 cups right there.
Weston, did you use the garlic?
Joe,
Did you add the garlic to the bacon grease when you put in the leeks?
pardon?
Did you add the garlic to the bacon grease when you put in the leeks?
I added, yes, correct. So when I sauteed the leeks, it was both the leeks and the garlic at once. Let those soften and cook just for those couple minutes, about 5 minutes. And then add in my potatoes, along with the 2 bay leaves, 1 teaspoon of thyme, and between 5 and 6 cups of vegetable or chicken broth. So now at this point, what you'll do is you'll put on a lid and you'll let this simmer for about, I don't know, maybe about 10 minutes, 10 to 15, depending on how large you cut up your potatoes. So I believe Joe now has some great info for you.
Well, info anyway. We'll see how great, but we'll give it a shot. A couple of things I wanted to speak about. Am I on there? Let's see.
Yes, you're there.
I am. Okay. About leeks again. It was really fascinating because we were, West and I were both doing a little research on this. And
Camera.
hello?
Joe, you're good.
Yeah. I'm good. All right. So anyway, we're doing a little bit of research on leeks, and when I looked it up, it also took me to France, and it mentioned vichyssoise soup, which is also uses leeks in it. And then looking at the definition on Wikipedia, it mentions France, it mentions Romania, it mentions Britain, and then Wes and I were talking about the Roman Empire and how the Roman Empire and Egyptians also had leeks.
What are these?
So that was kind of brought into Europe from the Roman Empire. And it's interesting, it's known as a Welsh soup as well, but not a Scottish soup. Anybody know why it would have been a Welsh soup and not a Scottish soup? Hadrian's Wall. The Romans didn't get past Hadrian's Wall to get into Scotland. So they got as far as Wales and England, and that's how they influenced the cuisine there. It's always interesting to study not only the cuisine, but the history, that how these things all came about over the centuries and whatever. Anyway, got a couple other things really exciting to tell you. First, I want to tell you about a concert that's coming up this Saturday. Maybe, Weston, if you could put that slide up.
Of course.
We have a special concert that we're running. We had a concert scheduled for March 29th, and that was going to be 2 classical musicians at First Lutheran, and unfortunately, because of this whole pandemic, that had to be canceled. But it got me thinking, well, we should have a concert anyway, but we should try to do it virtually, and that's exactly what's happening. So we naturally contacted Kevin Neidig as our first guest performer, because Kevin has performed at our Farm to Table events. Some of you may recall that. And so this is going to be Saturday at 7 p.m. So if you're able to go on Zoom with our cooking show today, you should be able to get to Kevin's concert as well. And he's doing this for Project Share. Another thought we had was a lot of the musicians don't have their venues to perform anymore, so they're losing their income as well. So this way we're doing a gate split with Kevin. It's free to come to the concert. It's a donate as you will if you can. If you can make a donation, you make a donation. If you can't, come and see the concert anyway. And that's going to be on any of your devices, whether it be an iPhone or an iPad, or even on the television, because it's going to be a YouTube concert. So you should have all gotten an email today about the concert. So double check your emails. If you haven't, if you didn't get one, let me know and I'll send you one. But we sent it out to all 5,000 people on our mailing list of emails. And we also did a posting on our Facebook as well. So join us Saturday at 7 p.m. for a concert for Project Share with Kevin Knight. He is great. He really is a great musician and a lot of fun to be with. So that'll start at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Now, another exciting thing that's happening, even though we're still in the virtual world, Asia, is it Wittenberg? Did I get it right? Yeah, Wittenberger. Asia Wittenberger has been with us for at least 2 years, maybe. Prior, Asia, you can type in there.
Yeah.
And Asia has agreed to be an intern for me. Hopefully it won't only be a virtual intern, but we'll see how these weeks develop as we move forward in months. But we're working together on some projects. And Asia, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of tell them what you're planning to do. And by the way, she's a student at, well, I'll let her tell you. Go ahead, Asia.
Hi, I'm happy to see some familiar faces from last summer, especially in the kitchen, lunch and learn, 6 o'clock in the morning. That was always fun. I just got done with school yesterday. I go to St. Joseph's University. I'm a sociology and communications double major. So this summer I'll be an intern at Project Share, mostly working with my sociology degree, but bringing in some communication things in there too. My first project, if you will, for Project Share is writing an article for the newsletter based on experiences with the pandemic and how Project Share is contributing to the welfare of everybody during this really hard time. So I'm going to be conducting surveys between volunteers, recipients, and sometimes those mix with each other because volunteers can be recipients as well. So just getting all the different aspects, all the different things going on, and writing a really in-depth article about how food insecurity and food is impacted by the pandemic.
Thank you, Asia. And if any of you would like to be interviewed by Asia, if you could send an email to me, and I'll forward that on to Asia at jkloza, at projectsharepa.org, and we'll have Asia get in touch with you. Thank you. So I hope some of you will join in on that, if not all of you. Okay, Weston, over to you.
Thanks, Joe. Yes, so Kevin, he is an excellent musician, just to echo that. He has been at our Farm to Tables for the past couple of years, as well as I think our holiday dinner even, Joe, right?
That's right.
So he's been a big supporter. He's local. He plays down at Farmers on the Square a lot as well. A great combination of folk with classical, kind of more classic country. I wouldn't say the newer country, but just classic bluesy kind of country. He's really unique.
He's set up a great studio for this too. He's learned a lot from this whole pandemic era and set up a great studio, and the quality, I saw a little bit of him performing this past Saturday, and the quality of the video and the audio is really great. And he's a singer-songwriter, as we know, and he also does some cover tunes as well from other musicians. But yeah.
And he also has a Spotify. If anyone has Spotify, you can listen to him on there as well and check him out prior. So,
Cool.
yeah. But so back to our soup. So this is not quite done boiling yet. Let's check on it. Look at the soft. It does smell just delightful though. So the potatoes are still cooking. So in order to not keep us waiting for 15 minutes, I will just explain the last little bit of the soup and what you will do. So these 2 pieces of bacon right here, what we'll do is we will chop these up. Unless you eat them before, which is sometimes hard not to not do. It was very tempting.
You make extra.
There you go, Nancy. I like your thinking. So we'll add that into the soup.
What about salt and pepper?
So if you're using just water in place of the broth, I would add a teaspoon of salt. But since I use the vegetable broth, I think this is about 500 milligrams per cup. So it's about a teaspoon of salt I've added via broth. So if you're using broth, I would omit salt. If you're using water in place of broth, then add salt. That's a great question, Nancy. Great question. And then after the potatoes are tender and cooked, what you'll do is this is an immersion blender. You can pick them up for 20 bucks at Walmart or Target or Amazon. I think I actually found this one at Community Aid, where a lot of my appliances come from. Also a big supporter of Project Share. So I highly advocate for anyone who hasn't been to go after we get back to normal and everything opens back up. So what you'll do with your immersion blender is blend your soup up for a couple pulses, just until it's creamy, yet I prefer mine still chunky. Some folks prefer their leek and potato soup very creamy. I myself like little chunks potato and something to give it some texture in there. And then after that, your other option, again, is an option to make it richer, is you will add a half cup of heavy whipping cream or a half cup of half and half. So again, certainly not optional, but if you wanted to make it just a little bit creamier and richer, a quarter cup to a half cup, maybe more like a quarter cup if it's heavy whipping cream, just because it's so rich. But again, that is just an option for those that do consume dairy. If you do not consume dairy, don't worry about that. So kind of keep it a little bit shorter than usual this week, just so I don't keep you guys hanging while all this soup is cooking. But Joe, do you have any more announcements?
I do, as a matter of fact.
Oh, all right.
Hold on a second. Do you happen to have that pictures that you sent me of the stew and whatever we were talking about?
I do not on my computer.
Not on a computer. Okay, we'll just talk about it. We'll post them later. But you remember I've been asking for weeks now to say, send in the picture and we will do something for you. So what we're going to do, Carol, you won a giant card for your wonderful pictures. What were they, Weston? It was the Middle Eastern.
Yeah, so Carol actually cooked the salmon cakes, the roasted root vegetables, the bean salad was there, as well as the stew. So
they were 2 different weeks, right?
Correct. Yeah, the
Yeah.
first week you made the salmon cakes with roasted root veggies, and then you did the bean salad before we even released the bean salad, I think, that same evening.
But we're only giving you one card.
That's fine. I wasn't expecting anything. That's great. Thank you.
Thanks for shooting those over to us.
You're welcome.
And for enjoying the recipes. Did you enjoy the stew?
I did enjoy it a lot. And plus, while I'm on and not muted, the person on the screen that may not look familiar to you is a friend that I invited, Linda Riesinger. She's the one with glasses. She's in my lower left-hand corner. I don't know where she is with you.
Oh, hi, Linda. Well, hey, thanks for spreading the word.
You're welcome.
Weston, I've been looking up recipes on the internet for potato and leek casseroles, and there are some good ones.
And that would probably be even more of a hands-off option.
Yeah,
Right?
the one is has cheese. There are a couple that have cheese. There are some that are made with other ingredients, but it's all potatoes. One's with mashed potatoes and one's with sliced potatoes. So I found some good ones because I got a lot of leeks to use.
Oh, you got a big bag yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So once again, if you do something special this week based on this week's recipe, send in your pictures either to me or to Weston, and we will enter you in the drawing for a card that we'll announce next week. So keep that in
Now,
mind.
how do we send a picture? I'm dumb at this.
You
so-
can, once you make your dish, you send it by email to Weston or to myself.
Okay.
And Nancy, even if you wanted to do more of a casserole, if you're able to do that, a leek and potato casserole, we'd love to see that too.
Inspire
Okay.
us.
All right.
All right, Weston.
I wanted to ask a question too.
Yeah.
I missed the first part when you were doing the leeks. And my complaint about leeks is there's always so much dirt
Yep.
down close to the root. Did you offer some way of, for ease of cleaning that dirt out?
Yeah,
Because
as a
that's
matter of fact,
awesome.
you'll be able to see this video again on Facebook,
Okay,
and we'll also be posting it on our page in the website. So yeah, you can actually see the demonstration of how to do that, Pat.
And
I'll
you
make
don't need Facebook to access Facebook on Project Share's side.
okay.
Yeah.
How do I get Project Share Facebook?
You go to Facebook and type in your search, go Project Share of
Okay.
Carlisle,
Okay,
and you become a follower.
okay.
Are you on
That's
Facebook?
one thing I
too,
haven't done. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Okay.
must do that because we're always posting things about.
Yeah, well, I wanted the other recipes because I didn't get all the recipes too.
I think we have them all posted and documents on there similar, right, Joe?
Yep.
Weston,
Thank you.
I always chop up my leeks and put them in a big bowl of water and let them soak.
Yeah,
um,
that's
even overnight, and all the sand and sediment will sink to the bottom of the bowl then.
I like
then
that, Nancy.
Then you just drain them. But well, you get more of the grit out of it if you do that.
That's a great idea. And then just drain them well before you use them.
Right. I
Yeah.
drain them and then I rinse them again to make sure I get all that sand out
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
You always have so many Rachel Ray-like tips, Nancy. I love it.
Well, I was going to say, like Rachel Ray, when you were making the bacon, I wish you had smell-o-vision.
Oh. Is that what Rachel Ray says too?
He's always saying we need smell-o-vision so you can smell this food.
I'm sure at some point we'll have that. Maybe even in our lifetime.
Right.
So, well, awesome, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us today. And next week, what we'll be doing is how to make your own grain bowls.
Yeah.
So, grain bowls, they're very popular right now. I've done a class on them during Slice of the Month. But for those who haven't attended Slice of the Month, we'll learn virtually how to make a grain bowl and all the different options. you can
Start
do.
video.
Hey, Tom, hey, Kai.
Hi, Martha.
Hi.
All right.
Mute.
Well, Joe, do you have anything else?
No,
That's it.
that's-
Don't forget the concert on Saturday.
Right.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will see you. Hopefully, we'll see some of you guys Saturday.
I'm going to try.
I'm not going anywhere. I'll be home.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
Thanks,
everybody.
Weston.
Oh, thanks.
I'll definitely make it.
Excellent. And we'll be posting the final picture on Facebook after mine is done. We'll post that on Facebook then.
But one thing to remember about the concert, drive carefully.
Yes.
Well, enjoy the soup too.
yeah,
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Don't drink too much
Have to
wine
keep-
before you go up the stairs.
I just unmuted it again.
See you, Tom. See you, Kai.
Hey,
Okay.